Guru Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. This invocation also has in it a secret of the scheme which is presented in this verse and which is going also to be elucidated today. When I say Om Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Deva, Maheshwara, before that we begin with Om. In Om, there are these three matras, A, O, and also a fourth one which is silent. And that can be seen, explained in this invocation. The A aspect of Om refers to the wakeful consciousness where all creations are taking place. When we wake up, we start creating a world for ourselves. There is a selective structuring. Selective structuring means in our mind there are our desires, needs, previous conditionings, compulsions, and these are the operative incentives for us to structure a world from whatever data that is available. Although we all live in one sense the same world, we are not living in the same world. The world, both in Sanskrit and Malayalam, are called Loka. Loka is what you visualize. Alokan is to look, to see. Alochan is to consider, to think. But in Alochan also, Lochanam is the eye. Alokanam is what you see becomes the world of your interest. And what you see is what you want to see. So we create our world when we wake up. The external world of transactions the second part of it. And third, naturally, everything created should finally come to a dissolution in the evening hours. You feel like withdrawing from this world, your energy diminishes, and the program of the day comes to a close. Some people work till noon, some till afternoon, and all people go to sleep in the night. So the second part we say Guru Vishnu, where you are more concerned with the sustenance of the world which you have created. And the third part is where you are withdrawing from it, Maheshwara. And even after that comes the transcendental aspect, that is the silence of Om. When you give lessons of meditation or jhana, samadhi, you should also look at the age of the person, the interest of the person. You should not throw any cold water on the springing enthusiasm of a youth or a child. If you ask a newly born calf to go into meditation, it will only laugh at you, it will jump around, it wants to jump around. So, the dhyana which is spoken of here is, for one who is advancing in age, advancing in understanding, advancing in experience, to withdraw. Not for, say, young children immediately to get into that. Maybe it's good that they also know that such things are there in life. But we have to be more realistic in this understanding. That's why I said in this invocation, from Guru Brahma, you deal with the first aspect of life. Guru Vishnu, the second aspect of life. Guru Devo Maheshwara, the third aspect. And only when you say Guru Sakshat Parabrahmam, that you are going into the transcendental. And at only that level, there comes samadhi or things like that. And in the verse that is coming, you can see this more clearly. Sankalpa prabhavan kamastektva sarvanasheshadaha manasayvendriya gramam viniyamya samantadaha shanai shanairuvaramait buddhyatridi grahidaya atma samstam manakrutva nakinchidapi chintayet. Abandoning completely all desires originating in the will for particularized ends, curbing the collection of sense functioning on every side. Slowly, slowly, activity should be brought to a standstill by reason steadily applied. Establish the mind reflexively in the self, without thinking of anything, whatever. So the slowly, slowly which is spoken of here, over years, not just one day, over years. So for instance, now Girija is a mother and she has 2 young children. And she cannot wind up her programs tomorrow to see children grow up, they get educated, they're settled in life. But in the course of that, from within, there can be a certain determination, a certain arrangement to give a discipline to life, so that after some years, she comes to a certain advanced position. once in Bombay, a businessman, a business magnate, who had many factories and um, business all over India, big manufacturer, importer, exporter. He asked Nataraja Guru what he should do to get out of the thick of life so that he may also become like a sannyasin. And when he was saying this, even though um, he was saying this with all sincerity, he could not uninterruptedly say the whole thing because so many telephones were coming on his table. Every time there was a buzzing, something very important, very urgent. So he had to break the conversation so many times to say that he wanted to get out of it. Then Guru told him, you should mark in your mind a certain day as the due date to get out of it. And after marking that, you should decide that from that time onwards you won't open any new file for you. And there will be a steady transference of his responsibility to his children. He had 4 sons and a daughter. And in the next board meeting, he made them all managers of the various firms. He was a chairman, and he was signing all the checks. He made a new arrangement that hereafter the checks would be countersigned by 2 of his sons, and that he would only just look at it. So he had not to handle the checkbook as such. And all the major decisions are taken by the eldest son in consultation with the other brothers. They will let him know. And he would leave the office without giving an address or a telephone contact, and will go away for 3 days. Then will come back. And as he goes on, he would increase the day of remaining elsewhere where he cannot be contacted with telephone, and thus slowly he will withdraw. And that shouldn't affect the business, the people who have put their trust in him and through him the firm. And when I heard all these things, I wondered very much whether he could do that. But I was a witness to see that in 5 years he could accomplish it. In 5 years, he has transferred everything to his sons and daughter. He has withdrawn from business, and he spent most of the time in an ashram of his guru. And he did not put on any garua, sannyasi's clothes or anything. He and his wife, they were all there. But he could bring it to a logical conclusion. So when you say slowly, slowly, it means over years. In his case, he was a man of great willpower, and his mind was disciplined and very systematic. So it took only 5 years. People who are younger than him, who needs 10 years, 20 years, it doesn't matter. especially in the Indian concept of life, 10 years is nothing. You, because you may live life after life, so what does it matter? Once a man came to me and his marriage was about to be fixed, and then he was in confusion. He did not know if he should get married or not married. But his mother was insisting, father was insisting, and the girl loved him. So he wrote a very confused letter to me. I showed this letter to Guru. Then Guru said, what does it matter to give one life to your mother? If your mother wants to get married, marry. Only one life. Next life you can begin again. So what does it matter? So I told him, Guru says, donate 1 year, one life to your mother. Mother wants you to get married, marry. Afterwards, he was a good husband and he was very responsible. He looked after his children, and they are going on. So the Shanai, slowly, which is said here, we should take it more literally. There are a number of words here which are to be looked in like that. Triti grahitaya. For this you need some determination. It is not like a rajasic determination, but more thoughtful consideration. You take into account everyone involved in the situation and what is beneficial to all, and then you regulate. Buddhya, intellect, so we have mind, we have senses in the forefront, mind behind it, and behind the mind is buddhi, the intellect, and then comes the Atman. And mind has a power to attract the intellect and make the intellect a kind of a lawyer or the defendant, and thus making the intellect somewhat vicious, finding reasons for doing what you like. But instead of that, if the buddhi is allowed to exercise proper discrimination, then it will be in resonance with the soul, so to say, the spirit. And the yes and no that you get from the intellect will be more appropriate, more helpful than allowing your intellect to be influenced by the mind. Buddhya mana atma samstam. Thus, with the intellect, the Atman, so you gather yourself in the Atman. Then Shanai. For that one should know what the Atman is. Without knowing what the Atma, how do we hold on to it? Even for that we require time. Yes, we see in the creative process also, it is with the light of the Atman that you see validity in things which are before you. In the sustenance also, the existence of a thing is because of the sustaining principle of the substance of Atma, and all values that you say want to perpetuate is because of Ananda. And when your mind is going from your body to another body and seeing reality there, to know that you are also along with that realizing the self by seeing the reality in another body, in another place, another location, another time. Thus, the all-pervasiveness of the self is arrived at through a continuous perception of the reality, of awareness, and of value. Thus, when you are convinced that inside and outside, everything that is recognized to be existing is one or the other version of the self, then the limitation of the self goes. The limitation of it within just one body, that goes. And you see it everywhere. And only after seeing the self like that, then comes this Uparamate. What is Uparamate? Shankaracharya gives the meaning Uparama as having a proper appreciation of the right value, so that your mind is not distracted to an assumed value or a projected value. When he says Satchit Ananda, seeing Ananda as an unbroken value, and thus delighting in a thing not as a Vishaya, not as an object of, not as a pleasure object, but as an extension of the self. Then you are having a withdrawal from the pleasure object, but an appreciation of the self, the Atman. That is Uparam. And then finally you are asked, Kinchit api na chindayet. The word chinda in Sanskrit is a little different from chinda in Malayalam. In Malayalam, when we say chinda, it means thinking. But in Sanskrit, chinta and vilapa are considered as the worry and regret. Two things which assail our mind are the vilapa of the past, chinda of the future. But both are generically called also chinda. Oh, this happened to me, I shouldn't have done that. If I planned it like that, it would have happened like this. If at that time I had chosen this, it would have happened like this. These are all remorses, called vilapa. Chinda is, oh, what will happen tomorrow? Will I be able to make it? Am I going to lose? Will somebody find fault with me? How can I make someone agree? There's a number of uncertainties are seen before us. And those uncertainties even cause worry. And that worry is called chinta. So when you are asked, na chindayet, kinchit api na chindayet, that means do not worry. Not that you should not have any thoughts in your mind. Thoughts will be always in the mind. But the quality of the thought can be controlled, can be changed. यदो यदो निच्चरति मनश्चञ्चलमस्थिरं ततस्ततो नियम्यैतदात्मन्येव वशं नयेत्. Whatever causes the changeful, unsteady mind to go out again and again, from each such restraining it again and again, it should never be led to the side of the self. See, our mind wanders. You want to do a certain thing, but your mind doesn't remain there. Some people become exasperated. You should not get exasperated. What will you do if your child does not listen to you? So if you ask Anil not to play now, for 1 minute he won't play, but next minute he goes to play. So is it any reason to throw Anil out of the house? No, you cannot. You again ask him, come back Anil, do your lessons, come back, take food. You again and again coax him. The same we do to our mind. Our mind is like a dear child, but naughty. And so if the mind revolts, runs away, have patience. Where can the mind go? The mind cannot go away anywhere from you. It has to be around. See, at this age, a child, a boy of his age won't run too far. He may go a little far to the next house, but will come back after some time. So the mind also cannot go away too far. It will come back. But instead of just waiting for it to come back, you coax on it. You place it back where you want it to be. Yado yado, that means yadaha yadaha, in whichever subject. Manas niccharati, where the mind goes. Tada tada, from that subject. Niyamya, calling it. Atmani eva vacham mayed, to the Atman, to the side of the Atman, mayed, you lead it. So this is a continuous program. Even to the best of sannyasins or rishis, whoever, mind sometimes wanders. That he knows from his previous experiences that mind is, after all, willing to listen if you are reasonable. Sometimes it needs a reason. Sometimes a little compulsion. Sometimes an attraction. And by watching the behavior of the mind, we also come to discover our nature. We say when we can retain and when we cannot retain. If we have a physical illness, then the meditation won't go well. If there is disturbance outside, then it does not go. So you can reorganize your situation, reorganize your home, reorganize your program, reorganize your schedule, re-establish your relationship with people. If somebody is interested only in gossiping or alcoholing and things like that, they come and sit right in the middle of your house and cause all kind of distractions. You can re-establish your relationship. You can tell that person, from such and such an hour to such and such an hour you are having some other program and that person is not welcome. Sometimes we have to be a little firm about such things. Thus we reorganize our life. It's called niyamya. Very intelligently we have to plan so that every day we make some advancement to our goal. Prashantamanasam henam yoginam sukhamuttamam upaidi shantarajasam brahmabhudamaganmasham. Such a yogi, verily, of calmed mind, of pacified passion, who has become the absolute and free from all draws, comes to supreme happiness. Say prashanta manasam. When we say Om, it's an inward going sound. Like a funnel which has a tail, consciousness converges into you when you say Om. Similarly, when you say Shanti, it has a hypnotic spell on your mind. Even when your mind is agitated, if you just meditate, sit there and say Om Shanti, 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 your mind becomes pacified. Prakarshena. Prashantam means not only just Shanti, in a big way, you get into a peace. Shantarajasam. Sure, we have this Sattva-guna-iness, Rajo-guna-iness and Tamo-guna-iness. And the Rajas is creating all these passions of anger, excessive love, concern, anxiety. All these are caused by Rajas. And there is a need to bring more light into life. There is too much of a coloration there. Color is to be subdued here. And then you say the Rajasam in you becomes Prashantam by bringing more light into it. Aganmasham, without being sinful. So sin, we have explained before. When your personal interest is narrow, then whatever you do is sinful. When the personal interest is widened, that means whatever you are doing at a particular time has a relevancy to many people, to make the life of many people happy. Then we say it is without kanmasham, without papa. Brahmapodam, and thus you become Brahman. We have a wrong idea that Brahman means something very big. When you use the word absolute, it gives us a better sense. When you say, I am absolutely happy, you don't change from what you are, but a new dimension comes to your life. And that new dimension is called the absolute. When you say, this is absolutely beautiful, not at all the beauties of the world are there. You have given to that particular experience of beauty the highest rank. So you become the absolute by filling yourself with a wholesomeness. The outside world and the inside world are not separated with any wall. So there is a free flow of the external into the internal, internal into the external. You don't want to bar anything, you don't want to close your door against anything. then that is an absolute state. But to arrive at that, first you may have to make many controls. Then you say in that state you have become a real yogi, and you start understanding what is Ananda. Yunjannevam sadatmanam yogi vigatakanmashaha sukhena brahma samsparsha atyandam suhamasnude. Ever uniting thus the self, that yogi, rid of dross, having contact with the Absolute, enjoys easily happiness that is ultimate. So this is our exercise. Every day, as we go on growing old, growing mature in our sadhana, to see what greater reciprocity you can bring between you and the world outside and the world inside. Neither you are against the world outside, nor against the world inside. And then you are touched by this quality of the Absolute. So an all-pervading happiness resides with you. You feel blessed. You feel the world blessed. You feel your mind blessed. So a blessedness is seen everywhere. When we write the life of a great person like the Buddha or Jesus, Sri Ramakrishna, any of the saints, what attracts us is a difference in their behavior, a difference in their evaluation of a situation, assessment of a situation. When people see in relativistic terms, they see more unitively. This morning I was reading that in Dhamanashrama, when the sun was falling into the room, the disciples of Maharshi, they came and put a screen so that the sun won't fall on his body. Then Maharshi said, see, it is as if in this room there is only one man sitting, and his body alone matters. The sun is falling on everyone in this room, but they put a screen near me, as if I am the only body which needs to be protected. And he said, this is samitva. This is creating holiness and forgetting humanity. And thus others did not see that, but he was saying something where it could be shared by all. That sensibility. Somebody in the ashram, they arranged with the local people to come and fell all the mangoes to take to the market. So those people came with the big sticks and they started beating on all the mango trees. Not only they were felling the mangoes, but also all the leaves. Seeing this, Maharshi came out. And he stood there almost in tears, as if he was beaten. And he said, could there be such greed in people? This mango tree should give us fruit and it should also bear all the beatings. And what cruelty is this? And only when he said that, others could see it. He said, we don't want any profit from this. We don't want to sell these mangoes. Stop beating immediately. Thus sharing the pain of a tree as the pain of a person. So in these great Mahatmas we can see that difference in their attitude. They have cultivated a sensibility which has a touch of the absolute. Then you say there is a Brahma Samsparsha, and where you share that with all, then you understand what is called ultimate happiness. Otherwise it's only a relative happiness, your personal happiness. Sarvabhudastamaatmanam sarvabhudani jatmani ikshade yoga yuktatma sarvatra samadarshanaha. One whose self is united by yoga sees the self as abiding in all beings and all beings as abiding in the self, everywhere seeing the same. This is what Andy has given in this representation. The yogi is seated in the middle. Various kinds of beings, living beings, surround the yogi, and they all feel attracted towards me. In the seal which we found at Mohenjo-daro and Harappa of Pashupati Shiva. Pashu, any animal is called a Pashu. We are also Pashus. Pati means a Lord. So, Pashupati is the Lord of all beings. The Lord of all beings in ancient India was depicted as a guru, as a yogi. And that guru or yogi was silent. He was sitting there silently. But that silence has an eloquence. It is a profound silence, a silence which attracts, a silence which captivates, a silence which unites all living beings in him. He becomes the epicenter of life's unity. So animals of the sky, animals of land, animals of water, of the three worlds, they all find in him their comrade, their companion. And he sees in them also his own self. In the Ijavasi Upanishad, in 2 mantras, the same idea is given. And it says, when a person sees all beings in the self, and in the self, and the self in all, how can he desire with confusedly, or have a kind of a passionate longing, moha? And how can he have shoka? Also it says, how can you have jugutsa, aversion? She just sits there and they all go to him. So this is a kind of an archetypal idea of the yogi, which is as old as India's contemplative tradition. And this same image comes to us for several years of Pashupati Shiva, of the compassionate Buddha, the awakened one, the blessed one, sitting under the people tree in Buddha. And again we have a reference during the time of Shankara of Dakshinamurti, the silent Guru, who was sitting under the Bodh tree and teaching 5 disciples, and the 5 disciples were older than him. He was young, was teaching with silence. And then in the person of Shankara himself we see the contemplative Guru. And to the present day, in our own teachers we see the same image of the contemplative seated in silence, to whom the whole world is attracted. Say sarvatra, everywhere, samadarshanaha, irrespective of the forms, there is a samadarshana. There is a oneness which is seen. It's not very easy to accomplish. It's a great ideal, but to live it is very difficult. Yoga yuktatma, it is possible only when your personal life, individual life is united with universal consciousness. When there is any separation of you from the cosmic person, you cannot easily relate yourself with the rest of the living beings, or even of human beings. You have to say Atmanam, the Atman, the self itself, Sarvabhodastam, which is residing in all beings. Similarly, Sarvabhodani, all the beings, Atmani cha, in the self also, Ikshade, that is how you say it. And when you say it like that, then the Samadarshana, or equality of vision, comes. Yo mam pashyati sarvatra sarvam jamai pashyati tasyaham na pranashyami sajame na pranashyati. He who sees me everywhere and sees everything in me, to him I am not lost, and he is not lost to me. Although in the present words there is a repetition of what was said in previous words, where the mention of Atman was in the previous words, we find the word me here. Mam pashyati sarvatra. The I which the Lord uses, me which the Lord uses, suppose you meditate it like that. My truer self is God, or the Absolute, or Krishna. So, my vyavaharik or transactional self is this person who has a name, who has a social status. But that is the lower aspect of me. And what is superimposed? The adhisthana or the substratum of that me is the true me. Which is the true me in all? So when you say you come to me, you can say the me in you which is in the higher sense. Just as when Ramanuja Edthachan says, if I feel an ego, let me have that feeling of the ego that everything is me, everything is I. So there the I and the self, the aham and the atma, they are inseparable and they are one. Here the Lord who is spoken of is understood as one who resides in your heart. Hrideshe tishtati, that which resides in your heart. Sarvabhudastidam yo mam bhajatyegatamasthitaha sarvadha vartamanopi sayogi mai vartade. The same thing is explained here. That yogi who honors me as abiding in all beings, established in unity, remaining as he may, in every possible way he abides in me. Here, whichever person, sarvabhuta sthidam mam, that me which is residing in all beings, that is meditated upon. Bhajati, how the ekatvam of it, the oneness of it. When you meditate the oneness of that, in all religions there is this scheme. In Christianity, there is the reference to the one Father who makes all people brothers because they are of the same Father. In the Ishavasya Upanishad, it is one self, not one Father, one self, and therefore the animation in all beings being the same, all beings are the same. In Islam they say La ilaha illallah. Allah is the only reality, and everything belongs to that reality, and therefore your reality and my reality are derived from one and the same Allah. In a non-theistic religion like Buddhism, when you say Buddham Sharanam Gacchami, you are centering on the one teacher, the one Buddha, Buddham Sharanam Gacchami. But that teacher is not seen as a person, Dharmam Sharanam Gacchami, because that Buddha is the Buddha Dharma. And where is that Dharma actualized? Sankham Sharanam Gacchami. It is in the Sankha we see the actualization of the Dharma, and thus it is spread out in all. The one and the many are thus united here. So Sarvabhuta Sthidam yo mam bhajati egatvam asthidaha sarvadha vartamanopi, even though in so many ways it is seen Mai Vartade. Each being is seen to be operating, functioning differently, but they are all functioning in the one absolute. Mai Vartade. So, you see it as functioning in him only. And that oneness is experienced. Between two children of the same parents, the children may fight, but the father or mother cannot take sides. And they both belong to the parent. Even if 5 children are having 5 opinions, mother cannot have a sixth opinion. Mother shares with all the 5 opinions. And if she has a sixth opinion, and she wants all to share that sixth opinion as everybody's opinion, because they all reside in her. Atmaho Brahmena Sarvatra Samam Pashyati Arjuna Sukham Va Yadi Va Dukkham Sayogi Paramo Madaha. By establishing an analogy with the self, he who sees equality everywhere, O Arjuna, whether in pleasant or painful situations, is considered a perfect yogi. To begin with, it is easy for us to agree with everything when both of us are happy. But in a situation where there is tribulation, where there is pain, where there is disaster, to see that unity is very difficult. But a yogi sees the unity in such a situation also. And that is a test. Even when an altered situation, if the yogi can see the unity, then you can say, he has now matured. Why? Atma Upamena. Atma is the Upama here. Atma is the sea of the same Atman. If you take Deha or body, Sharira, then there is difference. Atma, there is no difference. And only when you see the Atman in the other, that unity comes, that sympathy comes. When two people fall in love, to begin with they say I, but then they start saying we. A fusion has taken place. It is as if between them there is no difference. Even physically, after some time, they share so many things as if it's okay. When you put restrictions in other people using your thing, to this person you allow all freedom. Thus differences are all effaced. Yogam yogastvaya prokta samyena madhusudana yedasyaham na pashyami chanchalatvat tidim stiram. That yoga you have outlined as consisting of sameness, O Madhusudana, I do not see for this any stable foundation owing to changefulness. Then Arjuna says, it's okay, what you are saying is all fine, but I don't think we can live it, we can experience it. That is not how I see in life. Things are all the time changing. You say everything is one, but I don't see that oneness. That's my problem. Chanchalam himana Krishna Pramadi balabadradham tasyaham nigraham manye vayoriva sudushkaram. The mind is changeful indeed, O Krishna. It is agitated, forceful, and imperative in character, like the wind. I consider its control difficult. So a guru can always give a greater advice, but the disciple says, I don't experience it. In the present case, the mind is like a wind. How can you hold the wind? Something like water, you can channel it. If it is earth, then you can fix it. But wind, it is more elusive. How do you handle it? Krishna says, I agree with you that it is so. But it's not very hopeless as you say. Asamsayam mahabaho mano durnigraham chalam abhyasena tu kaundeya vairagyena jagrihyade. Krishna said, doubtless, O mighty armed Arjuna, the mind is difficult to control and changeful. By practice indeed, O son of Kunti, and by dispassion it is held together. So we are given here two instruments of control. One is called Abhyasa, the other is called Vairagya. What is Abhyasa? Repeatedly doing a thing until you become proficient in it. The music teacher comes and gives the lessons in music, and when first time he gives, we do not see the subtle difference he makes in the ascending and the descending of Arohana and the Avarohana. And then slowly we pick up, we understand. We understand, but still we cannot perform as he performs. Then as we hear, we try to imitate. We are hearing with the sense organs, the sensory system. We are performing with our motor system. Thus to establish a coordination between these two systems has a good relevancy here. The Guru is speaking, giving you the advice which you hear through the sensory system. And you have to perform it with your motor system. That means coordination needs to be established between what you hear and how you live. And that is through a repetition of the practice. And after some repetition, you find that it can be done. I saw a lady in England 4 years ago. When I saw, she was a very fat woman, and it was difficult for her to sit or breathe. But she decided that she should sit in Padmasana. She could not even sit, and let alone Padmasana. But she went on practicing, undergoing a lot of pain in her joints, in her body, and then reducing her fat. So I was so much ashamed that I could not reduce my fat, and she already reduced, and she could now perform all the asanas with a kind of perfection. And she can do Mayurasana or Kukudasana or whatever it is. Just say she performs by just Abhyasa. You have to put your mind into it. The other is vairagya. Abhyasa becomes possible when our mind, which is tied in a different direction, that is untied from it. So that we are more free now to have this repetitive practice. So I have to keep this always in mind. Where is my vairagya? Where is my abhyasa? So if you take our own examples, to each of us it is different. When Andy takes up an assignment like drawing something, and when he puts his mind to it, as his interest is there, that's a raga. His interest is not here. It is what kind of raga? Anuraga. He is in resonance with the raga of drawing that particular picture. There is an anuraga, and that goes along with his abhyasa. For a whole day he can sit in that basement without even coming out once. And whereas Johnny, 10 times he has to go to the kitchen. Why? Because in the mind has many attachments from which he cannot detach easily to put into it. But to the same journey, if you give a book, such as a drama, or something in which his deeper interest is evoked, then he forgets everything. I have seen Johnny walking through a road, reading a book. The traffic will be in a heavy traffic and everything is going on. Johnny is looking at his book and reading, and he is walking in the middle of the street. He forgets everything else. And the same person, when that much interest is not there, not that he really wants to have anything from the kitchen. This is not catching on. There is not enough anuraga to have a viraga from other things. You can never have an viraga without an anuraga. Anuraga means in the right direction there should be a great pull, a great passion. Passion for God, then you have cut asunder all the other passions of the world. So finding out that raga, and then you evoke it, then you get the real vairagya. This is something which is very beneficial if you go on practicing on yourself. I am also of a nature of not having a sustained interest in one thing, partly because of ill health. And I found out a way to coordinate the interest. I keep 4 works in an order that when I go from one work to another work, there is a continuation of the same interest pointing to either the deeper aspect of the value or the surfacing of that value. So from the surface end I go up to the depth, and from the depth I come back to the surface. But I also get a break of the monotony by changing the subject. Reading, writing, drawing, writing or reading, or singing or chanting, or sitting and meditating. But it is the same subject is made to continue through all, So there is no real break in it. It's only when you plan it that way and then practice it like that. So after some time it becomes our personal habit. You can stay on with it all day. Nothing stops you. So here the Lord says, Asamsayam Mahabaho. There is no doubt of what you say. But still he says it is possible. Asamyada atmana yogo dushpravaidi me madihi vasyatmana tu yadada shakyo vaptumupayadaha. By a self-uncontrolled, yoga is hard to attain. Such is my opinion. But by a self which is its own support, endeavoring, it is possible to reach through the means indicated. So one thing here the Lord says, if you cannot have a sustained practice and also detachment from the relevant and attunement with detachment from the irrelevant and attunement with the relevant, then you cannot be a yogi. Why the stress on yoga? Because this chapter is specially meant to promote yoga. Finally, the Lord is going to ask Arjuna to be a yogi, not a warrior, not anything else, not a sannyasi, but a yogi. So it is said, you cannot become a yogi if you cannot sustain your interest. Ayadihi Shraddhayo Vedo Yogachalida Manasaha Aprapya Yoga Samsiddhi Kagadi Krishna Gachadi. At this stage, Arjuna puts a question. Kachinno Vaya Viprashtaha Chinnabhramaviva Nashyadi Apradishto Mahabaho Vimudho Brahmanapadhi. Arjuna asks, he whose mind, unsubdued but endowed with faith, has deviated from yoga, not reaching to yogic attainments, what path does he take, O Krishna? Is he not fallen from both like a riven cloud destroyed without a mainstay? O mighty armed Krishna, confounded regarding the path of the Absolute. He is bringing a typical case of a person who has a lot of faith, a great eagerness, a great enthusiasm to achieve something. But he is not capable of withholding himself from distractions. And then before attaining, before completing his understanding, he dies. What will become of him? Will he be lost? Or will he be able to someday continue and complete it? And this being a very important subject, because Arjuna is here young, he is standing in the battlefield. Anything can happen in the battlefield, he may die. And he does not think he has already achieved everything which Krishna speaks of. So he says, Yedam me samsayam Krishna chetum arhasa sheshadaha tadanyah samsayasya cheta na hyuvapadyade. My doubt, O Krishna, you should dispel completely Other than you, there is none to be found to dispel this doubt. It's not always possible to find someone who has a complete insight into all these possibilities, the goal of life, the way of attaining it, and the value of it. Only very few people understand all this. Even if you know it, the obstacles on the path are many. So if you want to send uh, a voyager to the Saturn, you should know what are all the possible impediments on the way, obstacles on the way, and they are all to be removed. And you see, we have achieved such things, such as sending something to the Saturn. But even those scientists have not achieved reaching their own mind. A cosmonaut can go to the moon, it can even someday go to Mars. But the cosmonaut finds it not possible to go to his mind and to find out why he is angry, why he is jealous, why there is rivalry in him, why he cannot trust, what shakes his confidence. He does not know. It is something so subtle, so difficult, and you are the only person who knows it. So my Lord, if you don't tell me this, I don't have another person to turn to. So will you? Partha naiveka namutra vinashastasya vidyate nahi kalyanagrat kachit durgadim tadagachadi. Krishna said, O Partha, Arjuna, neither here nor hereafter is there destruction for him. For none of good deeds, O son, ever goes to perdition. This is the most hopeful thing. If you have once given your interest, and if you have your faith, even though for a time there is a distraction, afterwards you will again come back to it. This we can even see in people's life. I knew a poet, a Malayalam poet. He was a great devotee of Devi, and he wrote some very profound things, great insight. Then he started taking interest in external things, politics, and it was a time when Marxism was catching on and it became a big fashion. And also it was a fashion for many Nambudiri families to get out of their old ways of thinking and coming into radical politics. So this person, he just broke off his thread, sacred thread, and he threw away other habits, his food habits. He mixed with all people, just wanted to show that he didn't care for all these stupid traditions. I could be as much a comrade as anyone else, like that. And many people thought it was very strange for him to do that. But after some time, there was a big change in him again. And he went back now, not as an orthodox Nambudiri this time, but as a very well-reasoning person. He could still be a comrade of everyone, but the values which he had seen previously, and then he did not see for some time, he could see them back in a more profound setting. And thereafter he again wrote a very highly mystical work with great fervor, great feeling, and great insight. This time it was not from the point of view of an orthodox traditionalist, but as a person who had a great human and that a highly spiritual outlook. All people considered him as a lost person, but he was not lost. That happened in the same life itself. And now here the Lord says, such a person, he won't have a Durgati. He is called a Kalyanakrit. That means one who does things for always for the good. And this person whom I speak of, when he broke away the tradition, it was also for the good. Because he saw a lot of injustice in the name of tradition, and so he broke away. So he continued to be a Kalyanakrit. But he did not go to a Durgati as a lost person. Prapya punyagradam loganishvitva shashvadihi samaha shujinam srimadangehe yoga prashthabhijayade. Having attained to the worlds of the righteous, and having dwelt there for eternal years, he who deviated from the path of yoga is reborn in a house of the pure and well-to-do. The word here, when you say well-to-do, it is Srimad. That necessarily does not mean a rich house. Because the word Sri is a grace, a sense of bounty. A person may be very poor and that he can have a sense of bounty, then we say Srimat. A man may be very rich and that he cannot be Srimat. You may go to a poor man's house, but he can treat you like a very rich man because he is rich in his heart. But some people are so scared when they see poor people coming. They do not know what to do. Poor people are not coming. But it's not Srimad. So here, after a certain lapse of time, there is a return. That can mean in another birth. It can mean in the same birth. It can mean after several births perhaps. And we do not know the exact way in which a person is born or reborn. So although there is a reference to reincarnation here possibly, we do not know how exactly it happens. But we take it on faith that that person does not lose his destiny forever. There are a couple of things to be looked into is Shuchinam Srimadam Gehe. The place has to be clean. The place has to be graceful. That is the progress we make. The Shuchitva, the cleanliness we speak of here, could more be a cleanliness of the mind, a cleanliness of the morals, a cleanliness of the spirit, rather than mere physical cleanliness. A person may be born in a very poor family where things are not clean, but he himself can have a concept of the clean, and then things become clean. Adhava yoginameva kule bhavati madam yedadhi durlabhadaram loge janmayadidrisham. Or he may be even born in the family of yogis. What does that mean? You may be born in a certain family, but you are attracted. Like a bee that is attracted by a flower. You are attracted by a group of yogis who live together. And thus, it is as if you found your real family, your real home. I had the good fortune of living in several such groups of yogis or spiritual aspirants. At that time, I never felt that they were not my brothers. It was like my own family. But one person might have been from Bengal, another person from Kashmir, and one from South, one from Andhra, one from Gujarat. All yogis. Each one is contributing to your understanding. When I was in one of the ashrams, I was the youngest in that group. And all other people were older than me, wiser than me, more scholarly than me. And they took so much pain to make me understand everything that they have understood. When a general class was given by the chief guru, most of the terms were foreign to me, totally unknown to me. And then some Swami there would take me after the class and he would give me another class, explaining to me those particular terms which were given there and which I did not understand. I felt singularly fortunate at that time that he took so much personal pain in educating me. So it was as if I was born in the family of the yogis. Adhava yoginameva kule bhavati madam yedadhi durlabhadaram loke janmayaditrisham. It was Plato, I think, said it was most fortunate for him to be born as a man in Greece at a time when Socrates was alive. And Shankara in his Vivekachudamani says, to be born as a human being, Purushattam, as Manishittam, to be born as a man, and to know that there is a way, and also to come across a Mahapurusha who can help us to go that way. Only with 100,000 lives of punya, you get it. Just show how valuable it is. So here also it is said that this is a very rare thing. Tatradam buddhi samyogam labhade paurvadehigam yadade jadado bhuyah samsiddhau kurunandana. There he obtains that union with reason, pertaining to a previous body, and strives then again for perfection. O prize of the Kurus, Arjuna. And there, even though you lost touch, you make up by recompensation. because you already had that. Now in present days, with the theory of chromosomes and genes and all such kind of things, we are told that thousands and millions of years of experiences are stamped within our system. And so our study is only a continuation of history. There is a historical backing for us to catch up. And when we watch our own children and their intelligence, we are amazed that what we couldn't understand over years, they understand in no time. That means there is a cumulative and a culminative advancement which is happening in the spearheading of intelligence which is coming through children. So our children is like the cream of the history of mankind, and they have already everything imprinted in them. And as they advance, as we go from generation to generation, there is this advancement coming. Tatratam buddhi samyogam labhade paurvadehigam yadade jadado puyaha samsiddho kurunandana purvabhyasena tenaiva hriyade havachopi saha jijñāsuravuyogasya shabda brahmādivartade. By the former practice itself he is thrown on, though disabled as one merely desiring to know of yoga, he transcends the absolute of sound. So even those who have not fully achieved, they are also capable of transcending. So what about those who have put all their effort into it? That means surely they will get it. Prayatnyādyadamānastu yogi samshuddha kilbishah anega janma samsiddhastado yadi parangadim. But the yogi who strives with perseverance, purified from evils, and perfected in many births, then reaches the supreme path. Tapasibhyo adhigo yogi jnanibhyo vimado adhigaha karmibhyachadigo yogi tasmad yogi bhavarjuna. The yogi is greater than men of austerity, and he is thought to be greater than men of wisdom, and greater than men of works. Therefore become a yogi, O Arjuna. Here several grades are given here. The grade of a tapasvi, the grade of a jnani, then the grade of a yogi. Ultimately, what matters is, are you conversant with the self? Not whether you are a great scholar or not, or you have done so much. Even if you have not done so much in this life, by some previous gift, grace, the light is shining in you, and you see your oneness with everything, then you have become a yogi. And that is higher than the other attainments. Yoginam abhisarvesham matkadenandaratmana Shraddhavan bhajade yo mam same yuktadamo madaha. Of all yogis, he who with inner self is merged in me, full of faith, devoted to me, is considered by me the most unitive, Yuktatma. And here the yogi and the bhakta, they are not two. The union with the self is also understood as union with the Supreme Lord. And thus you turn to have a reverence for your own inner self. When in the Atmopadesha Shataka it is said, അറിവിലുമേറി അറിഞ്ഞിടുന്നവൻ തന്നുരുവിലും ഒത്തുപുറത്തും ഉജ്ജ്വലിക്കും കരുവിന് കണ്ണുകളഞ്ചും ഉള്ളടക്കി തെരുതെരെ വീണു വണങ്ങി ഓതിയിടണം. That the self is seen as something adorable, to which you can turn all the five senses and again prostrate. With that sense of adoration, when you see the higher part of your own self as the divine, that the God whom you love and the self that you want to realize are not two. So, Satya Sakshatkara, Atma Sakshatkara, Ishvara Sakshatkara, when these are not separate, but one and the same experience, then he says, you have now accomplished the yogi par excellence, the excellent aspect of yoga. That's the end of the 6th chapter. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyade Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Avashishyade. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.